Hey everybody, this week my Neon is somehow still broken and something else happened, but I can't quite put my finger on what. Anyway, this week the Google Pixel 9 series got completely leaked with all of its AI features as well. The VR market is apparently crashing and burning completely, and Proton is apparently building a legit competitor to Google Drive and Google Docs. Welcome to the Friday Checkout. This video was sponsored by Brilliant. Okay, we start the week with a ton of Pixel 9 leaks. To begin with, a guy called Hani Mohammed Bioud somehow got his hands on what appears to be a very legit and very pink Pixel 9 in Algeria somehow. It wasn't turned on, but you can see all of its dimensions, which by now is an extremely Google way of getting things leaked. Then in official news, Google sent out invites to the Pixel 9 event, which is going to be on the 13th of August, or about 2 months earlier than usual. Kind of interesting. My guess is that the company got nervous about the Galaxy S24 series doing really well and apparently hurting Google's sales in most of their key markets like the US, and so Google felt the need to launch the phone as early as possible. Anyway, the notorious Pixel leaker Camilla over at Android Authority has found that Google AI will be the headlining feature coming to the Pixel 9 series. Her leaked screenshots show things like Gemini and Circle to Search, which we've already seen before of course, but also loads of new stuff. Add Me seems to literally add someone into a group photo that they weren't in, which is kinda wild, and this seems to be the next level of photo manipulation after the current system of best takes. Studio appears to be image and potentially video generation, kinda like Sora or DALL-E, and perhaps most surprising is something called Screenshots, which lets you find info that you need from screenshots. It creates a searchable library to help you find anything in your screenshots and adds metadata to them, like web links, app names, and when the screenshot was taken. Kind of ironic that the new Screenshots app is leaked via screenshots, if you think about it. And yes, I think this sounds a whole lot like Microsoft Recall, just perhaps a bit less creepy. On a Pixel, you will of course have to trigger the screenshots yourself, instead of Microsoft just watching everything that you do. And it's also opt-in on Google as well, on top of being on-device only. And I'd honestly be surprised if some version of Recall wouldn't become a default feature of basically every commercial operating system in a year or two, even despite the initial pushback. Like, it's kind of a privacy nightmare, but it hasn't stopped us from doing all the other things that we do, which are also privacy nightmares, so... Anyway, this screenshot feature is completely confirming my theory of how Google and Apple are approaching on-device AI from the exact opposite direction, and if you haven't seen my latest TechAltar video on the topic yet, it'll be linked somewhere around here. And moving beyond just AI, we already know that we'll get 3 regular Pixel models and potentially the Pixel 9 Pro Fold as well. All of these should be using the much improved Tensor G4, which will still be made by Samsung. Most of them should be using Samsung's very latest M14 OLED screens, which is even newer than what the Galaxy S24 series has. And Google is also finally expected to fix the fingerprint readers in their regular devices by switching to ultrasonic models. Nice. Those are some pretty big upgrades, so I guess Google is really feeling the pain. Okay, and for my second story of the week, if you thought that the Apple Vision Pro would somehow get people excited about VR in general, maybe as a sort of halo device that lifts up the entire industry, well, apparently the exact opposite is happening. A new report from Counterpoint says that overall VR sales have declined 29% year over year and 51% quarter over quarter. Ouch! And reminder, this is the quarter that the Vision Pro launched in. Now, the year-over-year numbers are the really relevant ones because comparisons to holiday quarters are always kind of tricky, but still not great overall. Looking at sales, Apple only took a 60% share of the market. I guess on the one hand, that's not bad given their high price and their limited availability, and they did just expand to a whole bunch of new countries like Germany a couple of days ago, but on the other hand, it is hardly a big deal either for the launch of perhaps the most hyped VR headset ever. But perhaps the biggest loser was actually Sony, whose share collapsed from 33% of the market way down to just 4% in 1 year. The PlayStation VR 2 is basically a complete flop looking at these numbers, despite overall pretty good reviews, and Sony admitted 6 months ago already that, quote, it is a bit of a challenging category right now. Well, that's an understatement if I've ever seen one. Since then, Sony has made a PC adapter for the PlayStation VR 2, letting gamers play Steam VR titles on their headsets, which they will definitely need, because the company is rumored to have only 2 more first-party games for the PlayStation VR 2 in development. That's a $550 headset that came out a year ago. Things are not going great in the VR world. Okay, and for my third story of the week, I wanted to talk about Proton, which is now clearly trying to become an alternative to Google and Microsoft. The Swiss privacy-focused company this week has launched Docs as part of its Proton Drive service, which as the name suggests is a Google Docs competitor. And the differentiator is, of course, that this is an end-to-end encrypted service, including even keystrokes and cursor movements. I gave Docs a quick try, including its collaborative editing features and commenting and such, and everything seemed to work pretty well in my test. The downside is that some features are still missing, there's no mobile app, and it's just Docs for now without spreadsheets and slides. Still, with automatic photo backups from your phone now possible, as well as services around email, VPN, cloud storage, a password manager, a calendar, and now documents too, it's clear to me that the company is serious about building a complete and viable online services ecosystem like that of Google and Microsoft, just with better privacy. It's rare to see a small company taking on the big guys like this, and so I'm all for this. And I also can't help but think that this is also exactly what Mozilla should have done like years ago. I've been talking about this forever. I think they have the perfect brand for this, like a trustworthy, privacy-focused brand. They also have many of the individual components, like a VPN, they had a password manager, etc., etc. They just never managed to like get it all together and create a nice little bundle out of it that people would actually want to pay for. So that's a real pity in my opinion. Anyway, moving on to the brief, LG announced that tandem OLED screens for laptops are now in mass production. This is the same tech with two OLED panels stacked on top of each other that is in the new iPads and in some Honor phones, doubling lifespan and tripling brightness, so I can't wait to see this in laptops soon. And talking of laptops, AMD's next generation Ryzen AI 300 series is confirmed to launch on the 17th of July, in Asus laptops at least, so Qualcomm will have some real next generation laptop competition very soon. And in more AI news, the user interface design app Figma launched a generative AI design tool last week, and right away a user named Andy Allen showed that the AI basically recreated Apple's weather app almost exactly when asked to design a weather app. Figma then quickly disabled the whole thing, and they tried to calm people down by saying that they totally did not train their AI on files that people had in Figma, which I hope they're right about. And I just want to know if we'll ever see an AI launch that isn't a complete disaster right out of the gate, because so far we don't have a very good track record. Moving on, the Twitter competitor Threads claims that they now have 175 million monthly active users just a year after their launch, and based on previous claims, it seems like their growth is actually going pretty well. Not bad. And also this week, Netflix is now officially phasing out its most affordable ad-free plan that usually costs $11.99 per month. Users either have to accept an ad-supported tier for $6.99 or pay $15.49 for an ad-free tier. I thankfully don't really watch Netflix, but if I did, this probably would break me. And also this week, Apple became the first company charged with violating the European Union's Digital Markets Act. The regulators basically agreed with those of us who said that Apple was performing malicious compliance around its new App Store rules, and so now we'll have to wait and see what happens next. And in happy news for the week, Japan's government has finally eliminated the use of floppy disks across the country in its systems after a 2-year war was waged on them. Cool, I bet the Japanese government is now firmly in its CD era. And for our release monitor, Nothing has teased its CMF Phone 1 that will launch next week with an extra quirky design, replaceable backplates, and a dial on the back that can swap batteries. Kinda cool, I guess. Next, Samsung launched the W1000, the first 3nm Exynos chip that will power the upcoming Galaxy Watch 7 series. Samsung says it's between 2.7 to 3.7 times faster than its predecessor, depending on the workload, while also getting better battery efficiency and heat dissipation, which sounds like a massive jump. And unexpectedly, DJI has just announced its first electric mountain bike? That's right, the drone company DJI. The bike will be sold under the Amflow brand, potentially for more than $10,000, which would be pretty crazy, and DJI claims that they'll stand out because they have exceptionally good motors and battery technologies and more from their drone business. Okay. I don't know how transferable the skills are from drone making to bike making, but deep engineering knowledge is the thing that helps the companies win in all of these markets, and if you want to be an engineer with such deep knowledge, then check out Brilliant. Brilliant is an online learning platform that teaches you to think like an engineer or a scientist. They have a ton of STEM courses that cover maths, physics, chemistry, computer science, and more. You have whole learning paths that start at beginner levels and take you all the way to advanced concepts like machine learning, large language models, and more. And all the courses are designed so that big concepts are broken down into many smaller learnings, and then those are practiced right away with interactive tests to make sure that you practice and fully understand what you've just learned. Not only is this just way more fun than simply reading a book, it's also proven to help you retain knowledge much better. And if you want want a recommendation, I particularly like their course on how LLMs or large language models work. I literally used this course to refresh my memory for an upcoming video. To try everything that Brilliant has to offer for free for a full 30 days, visit brilliant.org/TFC or click on the link in the description. You will also get 20% off an annual premium subscription if you choose to get one. So happy learning, and I'll see you next Friday.